Good day! I'm Glie and Mendoza, first year BTLAD 1A student. Today, I'll discuss about communication flow and process. What is communication process? Depending on what is being considered, communication as a term on different contexts. This results in people having different views when it comes to the types of communication. In general, is defined as the exchange of thoughts, ideas, concepts, and view between or among two or more people. The goal of communication is to transmit information and understanding between individuals or groups. It involves a sender developing an idea, composing it into a message, and then transmitting it to the receiver, who interprets the message for meaning. Here are the components of communication process. First is the sender. The sender is the person who initiates the process of communication whenever the sender feels that there is a need to communicate some information to the other person. He or she starts the process of communication. The sender must be aware of the purpose of the communication and the receiver's abilities to understand the message in terms of language, interest, etc. For example, let us consider a project manager, the sender, who is to convey the message that the deadline has been changed to his or her team. The project manager has to first evaluate the level of the new deadlines critically and how to communicate the change to the team. He or she might reflect on the type and intensity of message they want to pass or the format of the message. For example, they prefer to stress the significance of the change in order to guarantee that the team considers the new deadline to be credible. The next is the message. The message is the verbal or non-verbal content being conveyed from sender to receiver. For example, the message that the project manager encodes for transmission is, "Team, due to some constraints, we have to have this project ended by this coming week instead of next Friday. Kindly let me know if there are any constraints that you think the change of date will cause." Next is transmission. Transmission describes communication as a one-way, linear process in which a sender encodes a message and transmits it through a channel to a receiver who decodes it. This model focuses on the sender and message within a communication encounter. The transmission of the message may be disrupted by environmental or semantic noise. Example: email is the type of media and the company's email system is used by the project manager to send the email. The channel. The use of email transmission is also intentional as it leaves a written record and can be retrieved by the members of the team at their leisure. However, if a team member is not frequenting his or her inbox, she might be late to read the message, therefore creating noise, which is one of the barriers of communication. The next one is the recipient. The recipient is the person who has received an email or message from a sender. How an audience member is able to understand and interpret the message. Recipient example: Sam is a team member and when he reads the email, he tries to look at the signs. Sam applies himself knowing fully well that the alteration done to the deadline. And now he begins to wonder how all this will be of current. That is why, if Sam is to understand the message he gets appropriately, he has to use the linguistics used by the project manager, as well as the mental health of project manager. For instance, in that situation, when Sam feels pressured or has other things to do, then he or she may see no significance in the new deadline as compared to the first one. This is example of decoding that show how decoding can vary depending on the receiver context. The next one is the receiver, meaning the recipient of the message and must translate the words into thoughts and determine how to respond to the sender. Understanding and interpreting the message. Here are some examples. First, I appreciate your ability to listen to others. Whenever I'm talking to you, I can tell that you're processing what I'm saying and thinking of ways to continue the conversations. Receiver's example: To be as specific, the word sooner shows that the rest of the time is less than earlier expected after decoding it. Some gets indication that the deadline is nearer. Some realizes that in order to achieve the work within the new timeline that they have, to have a new priorities. As much as understanding is a social activity that involves making meaning of a message. Finally, here, Sam learns that when performing a certain task, he has to leave other tasks which are not urgent in order to meet a deadline. The last one is the feedback. The feedback is the most important feature in communication. It is the response given by individual receiving information. This can be verbal or non-verbal cues such as head nodding and body language. It can also be more forward, involving specific thoughts or pushback on what one party has said. It is the process of letting someone know which areas they need to improve. Here are some examples of feedbacks. Sam replied the following: "Thank you for the update. In future, I will ensure that I adhere to your deadlines. Do we have to work on task AI might require some assistance. At the same time, it opens the chance to talk about some challenges which can be regarded by the project manager as an issue. This is important as it follows feedback and any problems that could be existing with respect to the parties involved are corrected." Contextual factors example. The message was sent at the midday when many people do have meetings and could not receive it immediately. While they were still going through the content of the message, they only saw it and this was a little bit slow. The context of the communication, that is the time of the occurrence and the location, physical environment, can affect the success of the communication. Had the project manager sent the message during the working hours of the day, the team could have easily changed their calendars. Psychological frame also plays a role. If some team members have other projects they are pressured with, they may be concerned that this message is also added pressure, thus how they answer as well. Practical examples. If a teacher is explaining a new topic in mathematics, he or she might initially verbally describe the concept in coding, followed by using a graphic organizer on the board channel, where students, the receivers, would be expected to comprehend the code. To allow the students to apply what has been taught, the teacher will set a problem to solve and gets feedback loop. Application in various fields simplified. Business example. In a meeting, the CEO shares a new strategy through presentation. Employees listen, understand the changes, and ask questions if needed, ensuring everyone is clear on the new direction. That's the end of our discussion. But before we end, kindly watch the example of the process of communication that I found on YouTube.
Lunch break. Something we all miss when classes are done at school and not online. Let's meet Jane, our sender. She just got off from her classes and about to teach us the communication process. Yes, we may not all be aware of it, but it is something that we do every day. So let's follow along and see what Jane is about to teach us. She has decided on the idea of asking her friend, Amanda, for lunch, who is our receiver. So she developed the idea into a text message through the process called encoding. Encoding is the process of turning thoughts into communication. Then she sent her message through her cell phone, which serves as our channel of communication. From our channel, Amanda received a text message and started to read and understand what Jane is saying. She then interprets and assigns meaning to the message through the process called decoding. This way, Amanda can reply back with her feedback to ensure that she properly received the meaning and decided to have lunch with Jane and happily ate together. But wait! we are forgetting about the noise. This can be anything that prevents the message from being delivered or interpreted differently. This would totally change the context of the message, and they would end up not having lunch at all. Thank you for watching, and hopefully we've learned something new today.